Okay, so today's lesson is going to be a basic study of rhythm. So as musicians, we have definitions in regards to the duration of a note or how long a note is held out. So we have whole notes, we have half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, sometimes even 32nd notes. So we can subdivide notes in pretty much any fashion that we can think of, but whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, and eighth notes are the ones that we're going to be using the most, okay? And this is through any genre of music. And so you can think about this as you would any fractions or even quartering or having a dollar. You know, you have a whole dollar, you can have two half dollars, you could have four quarters, and so on, okay? Now, we don't have an eighth equivalent for a dollar, but you get the idea. So a whole note is the equivalent of 4 beats or a whole measure. Most songs are in 4/4, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there are songs that are in other time signatures like 6 and that sort of thing, but we're speaking about most songs are in 4, and a whole note is going to last for that whole measure or 4 beats. Okay, so if say I'm reading a chart, and the chart says to hold the chord out for a whole beat, and we see the symbol for a whole beat, then we would hold it out for 4 beats. So similar to this. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to be counting, okay? Now, but what I'm strumming is what represents the length or the duration of the note or the chord, okay? We have to have some sort of benchmark or some sort of something to determine the length of each beat or the length of a measure, and so my counting is that. So don't get confused, because every single time I'm going to be counting 1, 2, 3, 4, but I'm going to be doing different things with my strum. Okay, so check it out. So if I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, that's usually when your foot hits the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you're counting a song, those represent quarter notes because there's 4 of them in a measure. So if I were to strum on the 1 of the 1, 2, 3, 4, and I were to hold that chord out for the whole measure or 4 beats, that equals a whole note. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so those are whole notes because I'm holding out for the whole measure. 2, 3, 4. If we were to cut that in half, we would have half notes. Okay, easy enough, right? So in that case, cut an apple in half, you get 2 halves. You cut a whole note in half, you get 2 halves. So 2 half notes. So in this case here, it would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sense? And if we were to break it down again into quarter notes, that would be when our foot hits the ground when we're tapping. 2, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so in that case, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, really important that you understand these concepts and practice them a little bit after this video. Okay, now what about eighth notes? Okay, eighth notes, again, we're subdividing the beat again. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, we can count it a couple different ways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so twice as fast as the quarter notes, and you can see why they're called eighth notes because there's 8 of them in a measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or more often, what we're going to be doing, especially in the chorus, is we're going to be doing the upbeat, or we're going to be doing the other eighth note on the upbeat. So instead of going all down beats, all down strums, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we could count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We could do that, but it's better to count it like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so the and is the subdivision of each quarter note. It's right in the middle of each quarter note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And so when we're counting quarter notes, 2, 3, 4, and then we're counting eighth notes, your hand doesn't have to move any faster. The only thing it has to do is hit the strings on the way up. So something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that's usually what we do when we're strumming, okay? Now, obviously, that's a very simple strum, but mainly what I'm wanting to do is explain to you the differences between whole note, half note, quarter note, eighth note, okay? And then 16th notes, we can even subdivide one more time. And the way we count that, this may sound funny, but this is the way us musicians, you, me, other musicians, count. And we say 1 and a, okay? So we need some sort of syllabic way. That's right, I said syllabic. We need a syllabic way to say, to break the beat up into 4 different notes so that they can be represented when we're playing. So for instance, let's say before we had 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and when we were doing our eighth notes, and then so 16th notes would be 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Notice my foot is still tapping on the numbers. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, okay? And it's 1 E, like the letter E, A-N, and da, D-A. And so sometimes a musician might say, that's on the and of 2. In that case, they would maybe be talking about an accent where they would say like 1 and 2 and 1, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. In that case, I would be accenting the and of 2 and the and of 4. But what happens if they said, well, it's the duh of 1? I know that sounds silly, but that really helps musicians when you start getting used to this. We won't be using those 16th notes too often, but we will be using them, and it's good for us to at least know, have an idea. So if it's 1 E and duh, then it's the 4th part of the first beat, okay? 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and that helps us to be more precise about what specific part of the beat we're talking about, if need be, if we're talking amongst musicians here. So if someone said, play the note that's the duh of 1, or play the duh of 1, then in that case we'd go 1 E and duh, 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and duh. Okay, I could hit it on a downbeat as well. But you get the basic idea there, okay? So now we're going to be using these rhythms throughout the course. The basic ones that I want you to know about for sure are whole note, half note, and quarter note. Those are the ones you're going to have to know the most. And it'd be nice if you know the eighth note too, because when we get to our strumming, we're going to need to know how to subdivide the beat with eighth notes. All right? Good. I know you're doing great. Let's keep going.